Okay, so the topic for the day is peer group. What? Peer group. So basically, what is the peer group actually? So when we create the neighborship in between the routers, like I want to create the neighborship of R1 with R3 and R4 and R2, and I will also do some indirect neighborship with R5 and so on. Right or not? So there will be lots of command. What command will be this? Like router, BGP, then 100 if AS number is 100, then we have to use the same command. Neighbor, right or not? Neighbor, that is 10.0.4.1, right or not? And remote AS is 100. This command, then we will use the command neighbor, okay, that is 10.0.4.1, okay. Update source as loopback 1 and neighbor 10.0.4.1, okay. And let us assume we are also doing the authentication. So authentication is password CCIE. So this kind of command we have to use for all the neighbors, right or not? How many neighbors are there? One, two, three, four. For all of these neighbor, I have to use the same command, right or not? So on this time, I will not, I will not, uh, I will not put all of these configuration for all of these routers, right or not? For all the neighbor, I am not going to put the same command. What I will do, I will create a group of all these command. I will create a group of all these command and name that group a random name like CCNP. I will provide a random name like CCNP for this group, and this group is called peer group. What? Peer group. I will only mention the name of group and all the commands. Which command? Like remote AS100, update source as loopback 1 and password CCI. All of these commands will be automatically applied on all of these routers. I will just create a group of these commands that is called peer group, and I will only mention the group name, and all of these command will be automatically applied to the neighbor. Okay, so now let's go to the router. First of all, we are going to create a peer group. And here I have already provided the IP address to all of these routers. Let's start with router number 1. Let's take the console access of router number 1, then router number 2, okay, router number 3, okay, then router number 4 and router number 5. Let me take the console access of all of them. So I have just taken the console access of all of these R5. Let's go to R3, R2, and lastly router number 1. So I have taken the console access of all of these. So dear, I'm just going to start with router number 1. Configuring, before going to configure, let's check all the IP addresses are available or not. So show IP interface brief. So as I have already provided all the IP addresses 10.1 and 15.1, whatever is this. Okay, dear. Now, first of all, I'm going to create a peer group of commands, right? So configuring terminal, okay, router BGP, that is 100, okay, neighbor, that is 10.0 neighbor. At this time, first of all, I have to create a peer group. Okay, how we can create the peer group? Neighbor CCNP peer group. What I'm going to create? I'm going to create a peer group in which the name of the group is CCNP. I'm choosing a random name for this peer group. Okay, what is that name? I have chosen the name as CCNP, and that is just a random name. Okay, dear. So there are four neighbors. Like for R1, we have four neighbors. What are these? Neighbor for R1 are, the R1 has four neighbors like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just not going to provide all the commands. I'm not going to repeat all the commands for all of these. But what I will do, I will reduce my commands and I will create a peer group of all of these. Okay. So first of all, the first command is what? Neighbor, neighbor CCNP. Okay. Remote AS is 100. What is the neighbor remote AS? That is 100. And then neighbor CCNP. Okay. Update source as loopback 1. Okay. Because I'm going to create the neighborship from loopback to loopback. The neighbor CCNP, I will also going to provide authentication like password CCIE. So this is our password. That's all. So I have just created a peer group. Okay, dear. And I'm going to put this peer group on the notepad. Okay. Because I have to provide the same command on all of the other routers also. So I have mentioned this command on my notepad. Like router BGP 100, neighbor peer group. Okay. Then remote AS 100, that is authentication, and update source as loopback 1. Right or not? I have mentioned all of these commands here because on the next time I will copy and paste the commands. So I have just created the peer group. That's it. Now I have to apply all of these peer group command to the neighbors. How we can do that? Like neighbor, okay, 10.0.2.1. Okay. Now I'm not going to provide this command remote s100 update source loopback 1 or password CCI. I will just mention here that it is a part of peer group CCNP. That's it. I'm just going to provide a single line of command 10.0.2.1 and peer group CCNP. All of these commands will automatically applied over there. Okay, dear. Hello.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Now for the next one, like 10.0.3.1 peer group CCNP and 10.0.4.1 peer group CCNP and 10.0.5.1 peer group CCNP. So for like this, I'm going to put all of these commands over here. So I have just configured R1. Okay. Let's go to router number 2 now and do the same configuration on router number 2. Here we got the router number 2. Okay. So configuring terminal, let me copy this command router BGP 100 and so on. Okay. And paste here. So whenever I will paste these commands, they will be automatically applied. Okay, dear. Now let's let's apply all of these commands peer group to the neighbor. Okay. So neighbor, that is 10.0.1.1 peer group, that is CCNP. Okay. Neighbor, that is 10.0.2 2.1 peer group CCNP, 10.0.3.1 peer group CCNP, and 10.0.4.5.1, sorry, peer group CCNP. Okay, so I have just done the configuration within a shorter time. Let's go to router number 3 and also provide the same configure terminal. So first of all, let me copy all the commands and paste here. Okay, so I have just pasted the command. Neighbor, what are the neighbor? That is 10.0. What are the neighbor for router number 3? All of these are neighbor except of 2.1. So 10.0.1.1 peer group CCNP. Okay, 10.0 dot, that is 3.1, 10.0.4.1 and 10.0.5.1 and peer group CCNP. So that is what I have to do. Let's go to router number 4 now and also do the same. So configure terminal. Okay, let me copy these commands. Copy and paste here like this. Okay, dear. Now let's provide the information for the R4. R4 has the neighbors. What are the neighbor with R4? R4 has the neighbor like R3, R1, R2 and R5. Well, R5 and R4 are indirect neighbor, right or not? But once we will provide the reachability, they will become the permanent neighbor. Okay. Now let's put the neighbor information. Okay. Neighbor, that is 10.0.1.1, peer group CCNP. Okay. 10.0.2.1 and peer group CCNP, that is 10.0.4.1 and peer group CCNP, and 10.0.5.1 and peer group CCNP. So you can choose any single random name over here, right or not? Like I have chosen the CCNP, don't worry, you can choose any random name. Okay, dear. Let's go to router number 5 and also do the configuration. Okay. So configuring terminal. Let me copy all of these commands that we have created the group of commands for peer group for the peering, and when I will copy this command, that will be it will be automatically applied. So router BGP, that is 100, neighbor is what, 10.0.1.1. Okay, peer group, that is CCNP, neighbor 10.0.2.1 and 10.0.3.1 and 10.0.4.1 and peer group CCNP. Okay, so I have just provided all the command for all the neighbors, but the problem is that if I will go to router number 1 and when I will try to ping any other neighbor like ping 10.0.0.4.1, so it will not ping. So what can be the issue in between these dear? Why they are not pinging? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, what can be the problem? Why they are not pinging dear? The problem is reachability, right or not? Because we are dealing in same as number, so we have to provide the reachability. So let's start with router number 1. Okay, configure terminal. Okay, dear. So router OSPF 1 network. I'm going to use the network like 0.0.0.0 and 255.255.255.255. Area will be 0. Dear, what is the meaning of this one? The meaning of this one is all the IP addresses on network from IP version 4. What is the meaning of this command? That I'm going to allow all IP address from IP version 4. If I have allowed everyone from the IP version 4, so these networks will be automatically allowed, right or not? This is just like default route. In case of default route, we provide this command like 0.0.0.0 and 0.0.0.0. So uh, this is the network and this is the subnet mask. But we note that if this is the subnet mask for this network, what will be the wildcard mask for this network? The reverse of this one. So the reverse will become 255.255.255.255. So this will become the reverse of this subnet mask. This is called wildcard mask. Okay. So that is why wildcard mask is 255.255.255.255. So it will allow you all the networks. Okay. So whenever I will do this configuration, let's go to neighbor 1, router number 2 and do the same configuration like router OSPF 1 Network is 0.0.0.0 and 255.255.255.255. Area will be 0. Okay. So just hold on for some minutes. It will soon create the neighborship in between the OSPF neighbors. Okay. Because previously I have done the configuration with R1 for the OSPF one. Network is 0.0.0.0 and area is this one. Okay, well, let's wait for some minutes. Yeah, we got the neighborship message, right or not, dear? In between 10.0.1.1, and soon after that, I will got the neighborship message of BGP, right? In between the loopbacks. Let's go to router number 3 and also provide the same. Okay, so router OSPF 1 network, that is 0.0.0.0, and subnet mask will be 255.255. That's it. Oh, sorry. Area will be 0 because if you want to create the neighborship, the area must be same. Okay. Let's go to router number 4 and also do the same. Router OSPF 1 network, that is 0.0.0.0 and 255.255.255.255. Area will be 0. Okay. By this command, I will allow the communication in between all of these. So I got the neighborship in between multiple routers, right or not, dear? And the adjacencies of the BGP will be up also. Okay, let's go to router number 5, that is only remaining. Okay, so router OSPF 1 network is what? Network is 0.0.0.0 and subnet mask will be 255.255.255. Area will be 0. Okay, so just wait for some few for some minutes. It will soon create the neighborship in between these. Yeah, we got the neighborship message of the for the OSPF. Okay, dear. Adjacencies are up now. Now we will soon got the other messages like 3.1, 2.1. Okay, yeah, 1.1. So all of these become the neighbor, right? Let's go to router number 1 now and let me try to ping in between these. So exit. So ping like 10.0.4.1 and sources 10.0.1.1. So they are pinging perfectly, right or not, dear? Let me try to ping the indirect neighbor 5.1. They are pinging. Okay. Oh, sorry. That is 10.0.1.1. And what is the neighbor? That is 5.1. So they are pinging perfectly. Now let's do check show IP BGP. How many network information? So it's not showing show IP.